So thanks very much for coming along. My name is Matthew Morris, and I am a Salesforce consultant. And what I'm going to be talking to you today about is an introduction to Lightning, the things that you need to know as admins. So let's do the usual post-lunchtime exercises. Hands up who would consider themselves an admin, does admin type stuff. Who's just here for a sit down? I knew you were trouble. So yeah, there's a lot of technology to cover. So let's dive straight in. But really, the idea is that I'm going to try and give you enough information to create your own elevator speech, as it were. But before I do that, I had a little social media exchange with the guys from the Good Day Sir podcast, and I said I would promote their podcast by wearing their T-shirts if they would donate $50. So they're going to donate $50. I'm going to donate some money as well, and to charity, to my wife's handbag fund. No, so do check it out, Good Day Sir podcast. Very entertaining. But now let's really get into the detail because we don't have very long. I last did this presentation at Dreamforce back in October last year, and I had 40 minutes to do it. And since that time, there's some new pieces that I've got to tell you about. So I've got to fit 40 minutes plus some extra stuff into 25 minutes. So we'll see how we do. So you're probably asked by your boss or your friends or your co-workers or your family members or your pets, what's the Lightning thing? Well, Lightning's a marketing term, right? Salesforce is very good at marketing. They're a marketing company. So at Dreamforce, they released the Lightning Experience, which is Salesforce's products starting to make use of the Lightning technology that they've been working on for about the past 3 years. So let's do another hands up. How many people have used the Salesforce One mobile app? How old's that? About 3 years? A bit more than 3 years now, right? That's the same technology as the Lightning Experience, the Lightning Desktop. So that's how long they've been working on it. They've been really working on it, testing it, improving it before they brought it to the main product. So we've actually been using it for quite a long time. So that's what the Lightning Experience is. They started off with Winter 16 at Dreamforce with just a few core objects. So really the main Sales Cloud stuff. So accounts, contacts, opportunities, reports. The thing that they could talk most about was the dashboards. You could have as many columns as you wanted. Okay, and this is very Salesforce, right? Get it out early, get it into people's hands, get feedback, which then drives the next iteration, which is what we're seeing now. So with Spring, we're going to get some more stuff, person accounts, campaigns, opportunities, more detail around opportunities, assets, etc., etc. And that's going to continue to evolve. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the problems that we have as admins. So as admins, we've got to make all this stuff work, and we can't just sit and wait for the Lightning Experience to be complete, because it's never going to be complete. Salesforce, the products are going to change underneath all the time. Things are always going to be going forward. Business requirements are going to change. So we've got to have the ability to be able to adapt and customize. So that's really our challenge. What people see on the surface is really only the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of work that we do behind the scenes to glue all this stuff together. And traditionally, we've used things like workflow rules, things like validation rules, URL hacks to get the job done. But now Lightning technologies give us more options. So I've got this sketch which hopefully you'll recognize and not disagree with me too much, that this is a fairly representative of a project life cycle within a business. So on one side of the diagram, we've got our data. Now that might not be just in Salesforce. That's a challenge. So it might be in a SQL database. It might be in an Oracle database. It might be in a text file. We've got business processes. And business processes, let's be honest, are not like they are in the tutorials. So if you've ever done the workflow rules tutorials, it's always very simple workflow process. Somebody changes something, one thing needs to happen. Maybe two things need to happen. We update a field and we send an email. But in reality, that's not how business processes work in the real world. Business processes work with step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay, well that's easy. And then you've got the bit that's really hard, which is except when. And it's always that exception for 20% of the time that we spend all of our effort fighting against. So implementing business processes, that's a big challenge. And then something else that historically we've struggled with and found ways to do the best that we can with classic Salesforce, which is how do we make it look nice? How do we make it look attractive and work in a way which fits people's natural flow of working? And historically, that's been a little bit difficult, right? You've got related lists, you've got the detail page, that's it. And we've got techniques and tools that we've used over time, products from the App Exchange, hints and tips that we pick up from other people that help us get the job done. But it's always been difficult. And of course, we then have to deliver it, and we're not just delivering it on the desktop anymore, we're not just delivering it to somebody's iPad in the browser view, they want it on mobile. And if some of the tricks that we've used historically, they don't work on mobile. They don't work in Salesforce 1. So what are we going to do? Well, this doesn't stop because there's always business changes being fed back to us, and there's always technology changing underneath, whether it's acquisitions, we've got a new company, we've got a new product, we've got a new CEO, he's decided we're not going to use this technology anymore, we're going to use this thing, and this just goes on and on and on and on. So now we have the Lightning family, which hopes to address each of these particular problems. So when it comes to data, we've got Lightning Connect. When it comes to the business processes, we've got Lightning Process Builder. And then this is where it gets complicated. It gets more complicated than it was back at the end of last year. In terms of packaging and presenting the information, not only do we have the Lightning components, but we've now got the Lightning design system. That's very, very useful, very, very powerful tool. Even if we're not designers, even if we're not developers, there's a lot of stuff there that we can make use of. So I'm going to give you a couple of pointers on that. And then the vision is finally we bring everything together in the app builder and we drag it and drop it and everything magically works. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But I'm going to start with my favorite, which is Lightning Connect. And before I refresh this presentation for London's Calling, I actually went back and made sure that they hadn't dropped the word Lightning from the front of Connect. Because Salesforce, they like to rebrand, things move in and out of families. And I was hoping that they weren't going to do that because I want to talk about Lightning Connect. And even if they had, I'd still talk about Lightning Connect. And here's the reason. Connecting to external data is really a pain. Okay, there's different ways that we can do it, but none of them happen without a lot of effort. And they certainly involve other people or other products. So I'm talking about data that might be on Microsoft SQL Server, or be on Oracle, or be in an SAP system, any of these scenarios. And what we would do historically is we might get a developer to write us some Apex web services that could go get the data, and we get them to write another Apex web service for us that could push the updates back. But that's introduced a dependency for us as admins. We now need to bring in other resources. That pushes timelines out, increases the costs, it makes things a lot more complicated. So maybe we want to keep more control for ourselves, so instead of getting a developer to write some code, we could get somebody else, maybe us, maybe one of our colleagues, to use a third-party tool and use the existing standard Salesforce APIs. So we understand how data is stored in Salesforce as admins, that's okay. I know I need to get stuff from the account and the contact, or I need to get it from the account and the opportunity. And we'll use a third-party tool to push and pull that information in and out of Salesforce and push and pull it in and out of the external data source as needed. But again, we've got a dependency there. We've got a dependency on tools, we've got a dependency on new skills, we've possibly got a dependency on people. This is where Lightning Connect is so nice, because Lightning Connect brings that third-party box from the middle, if you like, up into Salesforce. And it means that we can represent external data as if it was a custom object inside Salesforce. And that's really, really powerful. How does it work? So Lightning Connect uses a standard protocol which is called OData. And I'll show you a link where you can go read more about OData. It's an open standard. That's good, right? Salesforce didn't invent it. They're not the only people to use it as well. So it's supported by Microsoft, who invented it, IBM, SAP, all those other people up there, including third-party tools. So if you do have third-party tools in, you can use a standard protocol to talk with as well. So you can use a mixture if you want. And it's really, really quick and it's really, really simple because you don't have to do any typing, right? you point Lightning Connect at the remote data source and you say, tell me what tables are there. And then you select the tables that you want, and then for each of those tables, it will create a custom object. And then it will create all the fields of the right sizes and the right types, and then it will be there for you, and you can put it on a tab, and you can use it just as if it was a local object. Really, really good. Really, really good for maintenance. Really, really good in terms of resourcing. Very, 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 very powerful. And I should say as well, it doesn't work in isolation. If you had, for example, a list of accounts inside Salesforce and you wanted to tie the remote orders to that, you can edit the data once you've imported it. You can edit the configuration to say, this field in the remote data is actually the account name. Link these two things together. Magic, magic. It works on all these things. Really going to struggle to get through all of this. So it works on all these things. You can put it on tabs, list views, all of this stuff. And as of winter, it's read-write. So not only can you just pull data in, you can also make changes and push it back. That's magic. Okay, and it works everywhere, right? It's a core feature inside the platform. So, what do? Go have a little read at odata.org. It's not too geeky, it's not too techy. It's got a nice clear description of what it is, what it's all about. You can understand it a little bit more. Try it for yourself. It's not in your org, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But you can get yourself a new developer org and then go to the Trailhead module, which is on the intermediate admin track. Try it out. Okay, they've got a great tutorial there, including a remote data source that you can push against. Here's the thing, though, right? So once you've done that assessment, it's then up to you to do the cost-benefit analysis because it ain't free. So, you're smart admins. You'll go at the end of the quarter and ask your account executive what the price is. Or better still, you'll go at the end of the year and ask them what the price is, right? And then you can make an assessment and you can advise your boss, is this a good amount of money to spend? Yeah. So remember, it's not just the cost of writing one interface, it's the cost of of maintenance over time as well. Lots and lots more detail. We need to move on. So Process Builder, let's do a hands up. How many people have not used Process Builder? There we go. That's good. We've got fewer hands. So pretty much everybody. Who loves Process Builder? Quite a few people. Who likes Process Builder? Okay. So what is Process Builder? I came up with a new word. I was very proud of myself. Declaration. We can declaratively declare what we want to do. Declaratively declare. So we've got an element of drag and drop. So we can describe processes in a flowchart type formula. And that's also really good from the point of view of maintenance. It's also really good from the point of view of collaboration. You can sit down with the person from the business that you're doing this for, or take a screen print and send it to them and say, is this what you want? So it really enhances the relationship that we have with people when it comes to talking about business processes. Because if you did it in workflow is not particularly attractive in terms of the way that it looks and the way in which the definitions are there. So this is much more visual. It's also much more flexible. So you can fire off a lot more actions. So it's not just field updates and emails and outbound messages. We can call Apex. That's really, really useful. Also, very, very importantly, we can update fields on other objects. So if we've got a process that's watching the opportunity, when the opportunity is updated, we can go and update a field on the account, or we can go and update a field on an associated contact record. We can do that with workflow. So it's really giving us much more power to do things ourselves, and that has the benefit of reducing the cost of maintenance and simplifying the process of getting started. I will say, second to last point, replace many basic Apex triggers. I put a star on that because watch the record volumes. If you know that you're going to be doing high volume updates on particular records, so for example, you're going to be updating all your account records and you've got 100,000 account records, maybe do some testing before you try it with Process Builder. They're working on the efficiency of the bulkification, but sometimes you will have to use a trigger if it's really, really high volume. But that's an improving situation. And that's something to keep an eye on release after release with the notes that come out. Okay, loads and loads and loads of resources on Process Builder. Most of you are probably experts already. Success Community Group I'll give a shout out to. That's called Workflow Automation, Salesforce Workflow Automation, not Process Builder. And Nick did a presentation earlier, which I think is be recorded on Flow. If you haven't looked at Flow, or you didn't previously, you looked at Flow previously and you didn't like it, I urge you to go back and have another look, because one of the things that we can do is launch flows from processes, and that's a really powerful mixture. Okay, so there's a good book and a blog by Rakesh as well. He's got some good steps, and you've got a blog, Nick, as well. You blogged on Nick's blogged on this as well. Okay, so let's get into the sexy stuff, right? So the Lightning components. This is where we're actually going to look like we're superstars, because we're giving people stuff that looks modern, it looks fresh, it looks amazing. So previously that was just the components and the app builder, but now we've got the design system. So what's the design system? Very simply, it's the right colors, it's the right fonts, it's the right icons, it's the right CSS. It's everything that you probably tried to hack yourself or cut and paste or draw yourself, and maybe it looked all right if you're more talented than me, maybe it didn't. They've given it all to you for free now. So you, for example, you get lots of pretty icons that you can go and download. So if you ever wanted to just right now, even if you're not in Lightning experience territory within your company, you haven't turned it on, but you want some nicer icons, go help yourself. If you've got Visualforce pages which don't look attractive on mobile, maybe it's time to go and have a look at touching them up a little bit with the stuff from the Lightning design system. There's stuff to learn, so you could take the very simple route of just stealing some icons, stealing the right colors, or you can get into understanding what they're trying to do there, and they've got a lot of great resources for that. And of course, it's not just for us. If you're putting work out to external parties, or you've got in-house people, make sure that those developers are making use of the design system, because it's going to evolve as Salesforce evolves. So as they come out with changes in brand, maybe changes in color, we've got an opportunity to reflect that. Okay, components. So Lightning Components got formally announced, I think, Dreamforce 2014. There's a component exchange. There's not enough components out there yet, though. I was sitting next to somebody in a presentation earlier on actually developing components, and I said, it's been like 2-3 years since this journey started. It really feels like we're just getting started. And you know, we've all, as I was saying at the beginning, we've all learned a lot of tricks, and we all feel comfortable with the knowledge that we have, and we accept, you know, the user interfaces that we can create. So we're kind of a little hesitant. Are we going to jump in yet? As we see more components, I expect, you know, we're going to see more and more people making use of this kind of technology. And in a few slides' time, I will show you a golden reason why you might want to have more of a look. But in terms of components that are available, we've got the standard ones built by Salesforce. We've got custom components which are built by you, if you're feeling brave, or developers within your company, or consultancies. And then we've got the App Exchange. Now, at the moment, a lot of these are kind of very widgets. A lot of things are chart-based, graph-based, as you might expect with things which are visually appealing. Again, that's going to improve over time as we all come to understand where the value of these things are. But as I said on the title slide, this is about sort of developing your elevator speech. When somebody says to you, what's this Lightning all about? You say, well, there's Lightning components, and at the moment, there's not a lot on the App Exchange. We could write our own. There's the ones from Salesforce. But we know, boss, we really need to spend some time looking at this. You need to give me half a day a month. You need to give me a couple of hours a week to have a look at these things so I can go and experiment. So the way we as admins get to make use of the components right now is within the Lightning App Builder. So we can create our own pages, we can put components on them, and then we can add them to the tab. So the way that you would see that is within Salesforce 1, it would be in the menu on the left-hand side. In future versions of the Lightning experience, it's going to be an icon on the left-hand side. At the moment, you have to drill in a little bit. But you can make your own pages, and you can put your own stuff on there. Now, this example has got a lot of graphs and widgets and radar charts on it, but the standard Salesforce components will allow you to build some pages that give you a good starting point, give you a good feeling. So there's things in there like list views, recently viewed items. So you can build those. You can build pages up and get a feel for what you're going to be able to do with it. And also it'll help you understand what's missing. What components should I be looking for on the App Exchange? What components should we be consider writing? And then the great thing about the app builder is not only at runtime does it work on any device, but you can switch the view so that you can see what it's going to look like on mobile, you can see what it's going to look like on a tablet, you can see what it's going to look like on the desktop. Now, bonus features. So I said there's not a lot of components right now, but I think it's going to take off. So in the Winter 16 release, without very much ceremony, I have to say, there was the ability for Lightning components for Visualforce. For me, this is huge. This is a massive game changer. What this means is you can put a Lightning component inside an existing Visualforce page. So what that gives us is a bridge to the future. Because if you think about that, without that, we'd have to say, I want to change this functionality. I'm going to need to write a replacement page, just throw everything away and go ahead and build everything with Lightning. We don't need to do that now. We can take baby steps. We can start adding functionality by building a small component or buying a small component and putting it on the page. And over time, maybe we build 2 or 3 of those and we say, actually, this page now, we could probably maybe think about switching this out. So it's going to allow us to incrementally explore and also improve our existing stuff. And if you want an example of where this has been used actually for the last 3 years or so, do you remember when they came out with report charts on detail pages? That's actually Lightning Components for Visualforce, before they called it Lightning Components for Visualforce and made it available to us. So we're actually using quite a lot of this Lightning technology today inside Salesforce. So anywhere where it looks slightly more attractive than anywhere that looks like slightly more attractive than 10 years ago, that's where they're using some Lightning technology most likely, yeah? And that idea can be extended further. This one I really like, okay? Something called Lightning Out. It's not GA yet, so I think it's going to be in beta for this release, the spring release that's going to come out next week. This allows you to run a Lightning component in another web application entirely. So the great example is SharePoint. You can put a chatter feed on your company's SharePoint. And that's not in an iframe, that's actually loading the component into SharePoint. So can anyone do that? You need to be a Salesforce user, yeah. And I was just going to go on to say it's secure. So it's basically a connected application. So your user would go into SharePoint, and depending on your security, they would click the, do you want to allow chatter to run inside here? Yes, allow. And then it would appear. Okay. So no, we're not giving away free Salesforce functionality. They never do that. But it does give us a bridge. It does allow us now to create what is a much more modern experience for people, which is, I'm a user, my world is my browser, and there might be 2 or 3 different systems here. And that process of integration gets a lot easier. And the example here is a chatter feed, but it doesn't need to be just a chatter feed. It could be any component that we wrote. It could be any component that we bought. So it could be, another great example would be, we wanted to share some monthly statistics onto the SharePoint site, and we had some graphs and charts to do that. Job done. Yeah. So it's not going to replace absolutely every integration option that you ever had. It just gives us another tool. So again, really, really powerful. But I think Lightning Components for Visualforce definitely is one to check out as admins, because it requires 2 or 3 lines of code. It's well within the capabilities of most people, and it allows you again to explore the ideas. So where can you find out more? Because we're short of time. So success groups, there's one for the app builder. There's one for Lightning Out, and if you want the details of the how do I do it in SharePoint, there's a PDF in that Lightning Out success group which will tell you how to do that. And then also Lightning Components for communities. Lightning Components within community portals is going to be big as well. So the communities team are working very hard to get that support. Don't forget Trailhead, and there's a great free Salesforce U. So we have the technology, we have the tools, we have the talent, and we're out of time. So I'm happy to answer any questions out the front. Thanks very much. Oof.